How's everyone feeling? Just take a collective deep breath in. Hold. And let it go. One more deep breath in. Hold. And release. One last deep breath in. Hold. And release with a smile. So thank you so much for joining us on short notice here. We here at My Intent, we've been having a lot of conversations, processing our feelings, and figuring out how we can help. And lucky for us, we have two board members here who have been guiding many people through this journey, and they are here with us. So for those of you who, let's see, hang on, let me get this to work. Let's see, 1 second here. Here we go. Oh no, it's not working right now. Sorry, a little technical. It was working. See. Okay, here we go. So My Intent, our mission here is to be a catalyst for meaningful conversation and positive action. And I can't think of a time where we need more meaningful conversations and positive action. So we've decided to invite a couple people here on our board, which the first one is Tanya Thomas. She was the first coach that Tony Robbins ever hired, has been coaching for over 2 decades. And here's a little bit from her website. She says, I've chosen coaching as my mission because I believe it is my purpose to help people remember, realize how phenomenal they are, help them reach their full dreams and live fully. As a professional coach, I help each client realize their deeper sense of purpose and find that pure happiness or peace that has been eluding them. I look at what's going on, what barriers to fulfillment currently exist, and then help them create a life that they are destined for. So Tanya's here, and we're going to get her up in a second. And then Light Watkins, who I've known for a very long time, started as a yoga teacher, then has written multiple books on meditation, and now has really been putting out some amazing inspirational content. The most recent one with over 3 million views on for white people asking what can they do. So Light is here. So I want to just help us set the context for our discussion. I'm just going to take a couple minutes here. If we can help everyone unpack what is happening. Externally, we've had systemic racism for a long time, and now it's really coming to the forefront. Police brutality has been around for a long time, and it's really come to the forefront. Socioeconomic inequality, and underneath all this, there's the COVID pandemic, and there's massive unemployment happening externally. So that's everything that's going on externally, and then everything going on internally within ourselves, within our own internal environment. I was talking to a therapist from the Hoffman process, or a teacher from the Hoffman process who has a therapy background. And he says, what's happening is as we see, people that are helpless, as we see people hurt, it reminds us of our own pain. And that pain all of a sudden is triggered and we feel it and it comes out. Now there's identity confusion of, am I a racist? Am I not? There's pressure to do something, but many of us don't know what to do, which is why many of us are here. I read through the comments, the questions that were submitted, and many people are like, well, what do I do? There's a sense of overwhelm because all of a sudden we're getting handed lists of, here's a dozen movies to watch, here's a dozen books to read, here's, 10 organizations to donate. But, with all this, we still have our, normal obligations, whether it's taking care of kids, jobs, whatnot. And all of a sudden we've, felt the need for this change. And then on top of all this, we're living in a time of social isolation where we don't have our usual support networks. So I just want to take a minute and just acknowledge everyone for showing up and for we're going through a tough time. And if we're not feeling okay, it's perfectly okay not to be okay. If there's one message I hope that everyone takes away, and many of us are knows, but maybe we need a reminder that if you look at the slide of what's going on externally, internally, there's a lot coming at us. And I know we feel it, but I think I try to lay it out to unpack it here. my belief is, we start with the internal and then we can tackle the external. That's my personal belief. Because if we ourselves are frazzled and we ourselves feel hopeless, it's difficult for us to be very strategic and, just to, make the change happen, which is why we're all here. Somebody sent this to me today, talking about, and within racism, there's different aspects and there's different dimensions. There's the institution, right? There's institutional racism within organizations, workspaces, police departments. There are structural ones out there. And then there are interpersonal things that we do to each other. And then there are just things that we've internalized over time. And for the next hour, I want us to focus on the internalized racism and the interpersonal, because I believe that's where our expertise is amongst the people here. I mean, we can certainly, kind of touch on the other stuff, but I believe this is where we're going to spend the hour. And I want to borrow from Malika Chopra. She has, How to Find Your Intention. She has a book called Living with Intention. And it starts with, part of it is, what do I want? And part of it is an awareness of, what am I currently feeling? And if you guys want to write this down, if you have a pen and paper, and if you want to drop it in the chat, feel free to do that. It's, what are you feeling today? Like right now in this moment, or what have you been feeling? And then where do you want to move to? Despite everything going on in the world, the only thing we can control is our internal state. We actually cannot control what goes on the streets. We can't control what media is reporting on, but we can control our internal states. Between stimulus and response is our ability to choose. So if you want to share what you're feeling now and where you want to go to, just take a moment. And over the course of this hour, Tanya and Light will help us, with the how of moving from where we are now to where we want to be.
Go to my email. I'm not going to do the video.
Yeah, and I can see in the chat, people are feeling helpless, but we want to feel capable, feeling sad and overwhelmed, want to feel determined, feeling stuck, but want to feel engaged, feeling exhausted, right? You can understand why we might feel exhaustion, because some of us might be like, what's wrong with us? There's nothing wrong with us. It's just there's more coming at us than ever before. And so we need to give ourselves grace. We need to give ourselves time to rest. I'm going to...
How was tea?
Yeah, thank you for everyone who's sharing in the chat. Sorry, I'm just adjusting a couple things here. I basically took this week off to read and watch videos as movies. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Secondly, our identity is under attack, because all of us thought, we're good people. And now all of a sudden, are we ignorant? Do we have racism within us that we are not even aware of? I think this is a blow to who we think we are fundamentally. So, that drives our intention of, who do we want to be? And then lastly, what are the habits we want to build so that we can serve, not just while the media has the reporting going on, not just while the protests are going on, but actually a year from now, what are the habits so that we can be the change that we ultimately want to see? Because change starts now, but it takes time. So with that, I want to bring up, I'm going to find, so my Dave or Megan, Val, can you unmute Tanya and Light? I'm going to stop the presentation. So hopefully that was helpful context for the conversation we're about to have. If we can unmute those guys.
Hey.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. How are you?
Like to kick us off?
Yeah, sure.
What's been coming up for you? Light the way. Light the way, light.
Like the way, yeah. No, I'm just happy to be a part of the conversation, man. It's funny because as an African American, you know, in the wellness space, these concepts, these thoughts, these ideas have been in my psyche for my whole life, and you know, it's never really felt like there's been a welcome space to really talk about these things. So now that I feel like it's kind of, I'm not a woman, so I don't know what Me Too was really like for women, but I feel like that sense of liberation, like we can finally talk about things that we've experienced for a very long time, and people are willing to listen and hold space. I think it's a really wonderful time for Black people, and especially Black people in America. And so, and you know, people are really taking time to educate themselves on systemic racism and institutionalized racism, and you know, it's just amazing to be a part of that. So I mean, it's unfortunate that it had to happen from such a tragic event, and at the same time, I think you couldn't have planned this in a better way if you were God, right? Having a pandemic where everyone's kind of at home and available to, like you say, take time off, educate yourself, and come together and protest and let their voices be heard, and kind of go through this experience together. So I think it's remarkable. It's heavy. It's, you know, it's a lot. It's everything. It's all of it. And I think the people who are on this call right now, you know, people who are in this MyIntent's community, we would be considered probably the leaders, the sort of spiritual leaders of our circle of friends and family. And people are probably looking to us in some way to hold that space on a micro level. And so I think the fact that we're all coming together, you know, just taking the initiative to come together and have the conversation and listen to one another, it says a lot about you guys. And I'm just happy to be in your company. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Tanya, do you want to just introduce yourself? Just come say hi.
Hi. Glad to be here with everyone. It's on a Friday night too. It's pretty amazing. You know, I would have said at the beginning of January 2020, no way would we be doing Zoom across the planet on a Friday night, even coming from experiencing a pandemic. Is that there's a lot of feedback. You guys okay with that?
Yeah, it sounds good.
I sound good? Oh, okay, fine. You couldn't write this script. So I'm just honored to be here and to be able to impart some wisdom based on my years of experience. You know, I don't have all the answers, but I have some. And, you know, I'm here to be of assistance. That's the bottom line. So
I mean, you shared some with our team a couple of days ago. Do you want to start there?
Oh man, I shared a lot, right? Well, what do you want me? What specifically? Okay, you know, like on this call, I see, and from the chat, there's a lot of pain going. There's a lot of pain, and most of us that are in this world, you know, personal development world, we're not used to dealing with. Well, we are. The initial reason why we're in this group, you know, the personal development group, spiritual group, if you will, healing, is because we've either experienced extreme trauma or some sort of something that brought us here, right? Or there's a deep calling on your life that you want to help other people, right? And so with that in mind, the challenge with us, for us, in that we're always up. We're always positive. Everything's good. When people ask you, oh, it's great. Oh, I'm blessed. Oh, and this is true. And so you really don't take time out as shepherds. I call us shepherds. You could call us angels, what have you. We don't take time out to really sit with pain or sit with things that aren't comfortable, because we always go for the tools that will make us comfortable. And what's happened now, that the pandemic was the first part of it. Actually, it happened way before that, but the first part of it was like, this doesn't feel right. You're taking things away from me that I'm used to, and now I got to be with me, myself, and I. Whoa, this doesn't work, and I don't have the tools for it. And fast forward then, and then what's really under that is that when we don't take care of anger, when we don't take care of our pain properly, anger, resentment, disappointment, any of those words that have us not be our full great self, we're going to have these things happen. Every race, it's not just black and white, it's all of us. You could be Greek, you could be, it doesn't matter about the nationality, it doesn't matter. So the thing is what I'm grateful for is that finally we woke up. We are awake people. I'm just as devastated, and I would rarely use that word in my vocabulary. Yeah, if you knew me, right? So like that, no, because it's all about keeping the resonance, keeping the energy high, sending great vibration. But you know what? The truth of the matter is, I've been burying a lot of things for my own self as well. And see, the thing is, it's true. Light has it right. We are pioneers. So we go first. Why? Because we have that call on our life to do that. And so what I would say to everybody that's experiencing pain, experience it, go, get there. And when you get to the point of rage, before you get to rage, quite frankly, is make sure that you get some help, meaning, that's why this tribe that Chris has put together is phenomenal. It's a great place because there's nowhere else that's coming. Well, there are other places, I'm sure, but the intent is about love, peace, harmony, giving back, just the fundamentals of being kind in the world. And so kudos to you.
I'm making this interactive as you're teaching, so that.
Thank you. Good.
I'm launching a poll because I think what you said was really, really important. This is something that I did with my therapist back in the fall. Was he helped me understand my sadness, and underneath that sadness was a lot of pain and anger and rage, and I took it out on a 20-pound medicine ball against the tree in my backyard, a lot in a punching bag, right? And I know a lot of us, like prior to working with a therapist, I didn't know to do that. I didn't know to sit in it. I just avoided. I would eat. I would do other things.
Of course.
So right now, we have a poll going on to see how much, let's put a context around this poll, which is, let's say within the past week, and then maybe within the past week, and then also COVID. I feel like there's two distinct time periods we're talking about.
How much
have we processed our emotions? How much have we kind of sat, kind of like you were saying, how much have we sat with our emotions to really process them and feel them so that we actually can release them versus it just toxic. It's like toxic, And these are anonymous, so in case anyone's
yeah.
They're coming in. We've got 71%. I'm gonna hit 75%, and I'm gonna end the poll, and I'm gonna we'll move on to the next topic or section. But I think hopefully this makes it interactive to see also as a community, where are we?
Right.
Okay. I'm gonna right now. Oh wow, we're about to hit 80% completion. Here we go. I'm gonna share the results.
Well, especially here's the difference. If you're brand new, if you've been in this work for a while, let's just say, if you've been in this work in the last 2 months, then obviously you're way different. But if you're brand new to this work, the numbers are going to be different, right? That's it. Because some people aren't familiar. What do you mean grief? Yeah. They don't know that that's really what they're experiencing. I don't know.
Because one of the things I also, Light is my meditation teacher, and he talks about how when we sit in meditation, sometimes negative emotions will come up because that gives us time to process. Light, do you want to share that?
Yeah.
More about that?
He's-
There we go. Wait.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. No. Rookie mistake. Yeah. Meditation. When I refer to meditation, I refer to it as I look at it as a seated, eyes closed practice, and it's very common when you're meditating in that way during these kinds of times that you may end up unearthing some old memories, old trauma, old stress, and that could cause you to have releases in the form of, crying or very emotional outbursts. And it can happen in meditation. It can happen outside of meditation. And it's a good thing because, just living life as a Black person, living life as a woman, living life just as an individual on planet Earth. I mean, in a spiritual context, planet Earth is seen to be this, like, kind of the most gangster place you can ever incarnate, because it's so heavy. It could be so harsh, and it doesn't really matter who you are or what population you're born into. There's going to be some major challenges that you're going to have to overcome. And they could be mental health, they could be physical, they could be, financial, they could be all of it at the same time. And so just living normal life, it's very easy to accumulate lots and lots and lots of stress and trauma and old unresolved emotion. And so, and that's fine, that happens. And one of the reasons why we want to have our inner work going on a regular basis is because it gives us the value of having a release valve for this stuff. So it may appear as though these things make you more sensitive, or you're really sensitive to them, and you might be wondering, well, hold on, I'm doing my practices and everything. I should be able to manage this a little bit better than I'm managing it. But we sometimes forget that it's actually our inner practices that are helping to process it a lot faster. So it can seem like, yeah, I'm really emotional, but really it's stuff that's leaving you. And this is a really important point, because that's what's going to allow us to become more available to the other people around us who may need us to hold that space for them. So that's how I tell my meditation students how they can track progress, is the degree to which they can move through things versus, holding on to them, and it starts affecting their sleep and all of this kind of stuff. Those are signs that, hey, I need to maybe be a little bit more intentional, a little bit more committed to my inner practices, because that's the practical value of it, right? Yeah, things like meditation and journaling and gratitude, those are not exercises that we want to treat like extracurricular activities. When things are going well, we want to make sure that during times like this, we're as committed, if not more committed to them, because of the intake of stress and of trauma that we get just from watching the news and just from scrolling through our social media feeds. I mean, just seeing everything that happens almost in real time as it's happening can be very, very hard for the nervous system to kind of cope with, because we're still operating on the 10,000-year-old model, right? Where we lived in tribes and we were only around a couple hundred people in our entire lifetime. So if something happened 30 miles away, we wouldn't hear about it. We may never hear about it. If something happened around the world, we absolutely would never hear about it. But now we live in a time where we can hear about every single thing that happens 2 seconds after it happens. We're getting notifications, and then it just keeps coming and keeps coming. And the media, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but it's no secret that the media tends to report on the more sensational news so that they get us to click on it, so that they can, pay their bills and everything with advertising. So the type of news that we're getting constantly is the most dramatic stuff, even though there may be millions of acts of kindness happening all around us, but we would never know it because it's not sensational enough. So all we're getting fed is the heightened sensational stuff, and it can be very, very traumatic. So we have to keep reminding ourselves and really being intentional about taking time away from the news, taking time away from social media, to engage in our inner practices on a daily basis, to engage with with our intentions. And that's one of the power, that is the power of you know, my intent, and having that word to remind you of what's truly, truly, truly important, right? And where you want to continue to put your focus, because wherever you put your energy, that's what's going to ultimately grow.
There's a comment here from Amelia here. It says, I was physically sick earlier this week. My brain was not functioning correctly. I have so much fear for my nephews. You'll be young black men soon. How, you know, Tanya and Light, how would you help someone who's dealing with paralyzing fear? I think there's a lot of that going on in this room as well as in the world. People are literally paralyzed where they can't function.
I'll let Tanya take that one since I just spoke.
Okay, me too. I have nieces and nephews around this, well, they're not as old, but they're in their 20s. And for the first time ever, I feared for their lives. And I didn't know what to do for a day or two, actually a couple of days. I was just in this fog. I couldn't even, I was working, I was moving through, but I just didn't know what to do. And then I got it. It's like, I must connect. I must hear and listen to them. I must know. I want them to know that I see them, that I love them, right? And to encourage them. And I mean, and I'm telling you, and I have 6 of them. It was last minute. They all got on a Zoom call, and we had the best conversation. And it was raw. And I asked them, how do you feel? What's going on? Because I had no idea. I'm not them. I don't know. But I never told them that. I never told them that I feared their life and all that. I would never. But I know exactly. Now, I'm not bedridden or any of that. But here's the thing, what you want to do. You don't want it to last too long. Here's what's happening. When a significant emotional event happens in your life, you actually, it's like driving down the freeway and you get hit by a Mack truck. That's what it's like. You are wiped out. You didn't see it coming. You didn't know it was coming. And all of a sudden you're laid out. You don't know what to do and you're paralyzed. True. Okay. Acknowledge that first and foremost. Uh-oh. So I need doctors to help me. Doctors, we're like doctors, right? I need somebody to help me. Talk to somebody. I can't dress. I can't, because this is what happens. We all got hit by a gigantic Mack truck, if not a few. So that's number one, is the awareness of it. Number 2 is then decide, okay, one day at a time, one moment, actually not even a day, one moment at a time. This thing is no joke. I mean, it's like one moment you're happy and you get through, and the next you hear something and you crash. I would say this, what Light was saying, the more news you get, the more blues you'll have. No doubt about it, people. More news, more blues. So if you want to stay at the blues house, that's cute. I love that. That is good. You know, you want to stay at the blues house? That means you must fight for, and I'm saying this with all my fervor, you must fight for your happiness, for your blissness, for your love, for your sanity, for your harmony. And guess who gets that? Who's in charge of that? Chris, Light, me? No, you are in charge of that. We can provide you tools, no question, but you've got to decide to move through and give yourself permission to be okay not being okay. You got to be okay not being okay. And listen, there's not one emotion that any of you guys, that all of us, that none of us haven't felt this week or last 10 days, 11 days for sure. We've all been there. And listen, we have skills. We have these tools and stuff, and we're rocked. So it's very real. You know, you want to hold on, faith, hold on to, you know, somebody, you know, lean on me. Okay, I'm done. Okay, Light, I'm sorry. Or whoever's next. I'm good.
I think Tanya, I like that suggestion, Tanya, of of reducing the amount of intake of negativity, you know, and that may include even just talking to your, you know, gossipy friends who always want to talk about the latest, you know, what the worst thing is, and instigating, and oh my God, can you believe it? And you know, there are so many luminaries who have written such inspiring content, Eckhart Tolle and Wayne Dyer, and you know, these kinds of figures, Byron Katie. And I think that this is a call also to just, you know, those are our vegetables, right? The news is kind of like eating Cheetos and Snicker bars and Sprite. You got to have your vegetables, because if you don't have your vegetables, you're not going to be able to nourish your soul. And the soul needs to be nourished at times like this to keep you centered and keep you balanced and keep you focused. Because, you know, if you live life long enough, what you're going to ultimately conclude is that there's no point coming where life is going to slow down to let you grieve. Life is not going to slow down for you to protect your heart. You're going to have to claim that time for yourself.
Every day.
If it wasn't every day, if it wasn't George Floyd, it'd be something else that we'd be talking about right now, you know, and guarantee you something else is going to happen in the next few days, and everybody's going to start talking about that, and it's going to be another thing. We're all going to go through all 5 stages of grief again, and we just this is the cycle that we kind of find ourselves on. So we have to take the time to nourish ourselves. No one's going to do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. And it needs to become a practice, which is why commitment is important, right? So I think Tanya is absolutely correct. You know, limit the news, limit the negativity, and feed yourself with what you find to be personally nourishing. For some of you, maybe it's not reading, maybe it's not listening to audiobooks, maybe it's finding a podcast that you find inspiring. Maybe it's taking a daily walk through your favorite park, or maybe it's volunteering, and that nourishes your soul. So find something that nourishes you, playing with puppies, whatever it is, and make that a commitment, a daily commitment. So you fill yourself up, so you have more to process, to allow yourself to process and allow yourself to give, and that you can reset and start over the next day, so that you can keep, you know, ultimately we want to keep being the hero of our life and not the victim of our life.
Yeah.
And the difference in that is we take responsibility for our state versus we allow external circumstances to be responsible for our state. We can't do anything about the external circumstances. All we can control is how much of it we take in, how we process it, how we fill ourselves back up again, right? So your house can be your fortress of solitude if you Marie Kondo it in that way, right? And that may require you to take a moment away from whatever's annoying you in the house, if you can, you know, even if it's just, you know, people, and this is where, you know, people who smoke cigarettes, they will not hesitate to take a cigarette break. Why?
That's true.
Because they need that to unwind. And everybody gets it. Go outside, smoke your cigarette, take your 10 or 15 minutes, we get it. The moment somebody says, I'm going to go take a meditation break, what are you talking about? You're going to take a meditation break? What are you come back?
Exactly.
We need to normalize that in our environment. So if your family or whoever you live around is not respecting your meditation break, then that's your responsibility. You need to train them by being absolutely consistent, because the moment they see you skipping your inner practices, then they're going to bring that up the next time. Well, you didn't do it yesterday, so why are you doing it? Why is it so important right now? So you need to be more consistent, and by being consistent, you're training people not to screw around with your break. And the reason why you're doing it is so that you can be more available to them. It's not a selfish thing. It's actually a selfless act. You're doing that. You're taking that time so that you can be more available to your spouse, to your kids, to your whatever. So if you got to go into the closet, you got to go into the bathtub, you got to go into whatever, wherever you can make it happen, start making it happen. It'll be hard at first until you build up the habit. And then next thing you know, you get to the point where you you realize how much value is those 10 or 15 minutes are bringing into your day. And guess what? When you really get it down, you're not going to want to watch all that news anymore.
That's true. I do have
Because
one.
you're not
Oh, go ahead.
feeding the stress anymore. It feeds the stress. That's what the news does. When you protect your happiness, like Tanya says, you don't want to eat the Cheetos anymore. You know, you've been working out, you don't want to eat Cheetos. You don't want to eat Snicker bars. That is stress-related food. So make a commitment.
Yeah, so I have one thing for you guys as well. So here's the deal. We talk about all these things externally, and there's comments that are coming in about other people. You know, what do we do about what other people think, or what they're doing, or we can't convince them of our way, or why are they thinking it this way, or why are they doing this way? Here's the deal. One of my favorite teachers is Byron Katie, which she talks about staying in your lane. And staying in your lane is my business, your business, God's business. Those are 3 lanes that we travel in life. So the thing is, myself, and I am 100% responsible for my life. You are 100% responsible for yours, and God does his thing, right? So what we do is that we go, well, I want you to believe what I believe. And this hopefully will answer some questions about the racial part, right? It's like, I want you to believe what I believe. Politics, whatever it is, I want you to believe what I believe. And when you don't, by the way, then I have attitude. Now why I'm upset? Well, you're in somebody else's lane now. Why are you upset? That they're me, myself, and I. Now, our jobs, I mean, like says it, we're our hero in our own life. Now, you know, and the challenge is that some people, I was one of them, you know, try to control everything. I want to control my tribe. Okay, if you act like this and you come in, then we all can come together and we all are together and we're all doing the same old thing, right? And then somebody else, then I convince them and then they come. Okay, that's all running in one tribe, but somebody just gets out of that, it's not okay. So remember, is when you remember God, and this helped me so many times just when I started getting upset. Well, why did that happen? And what can I do about it? First of all, deal with facts, number 1. And number 2 is you're 100% responsible for your emotions, your feelings, and how you're reacting, period. Same story we see, and you can have 5 people see it, everybody has 5 different ways it happened. Except for, I'd have to say Monday, that was the exception, to be quite frank. I mean, I have not heard one person not say. I mean, that was just a fact, right? The facts are boom, boom, boom. Those are the facts. Now, what we make of those facts, then now that becomes my opinion, and then I'm trying to convince you, or you're trying to convince me, and et cetera. You want to stay in facts and be in your own responsibility. Does that make sense? But aren't we here to serve? Yes, we're here to serve. But see, that's a great question. Are we here to serve? Yes, we're here to serve. But like Chris knows, you must have healthy boundaries. All of us do.
I think there's a difference between serving and being upset when someone doesn't behave or believe the same thing you do. There's a huge difference.
Big difference, yeah.
I want to explore something, because I've been watching the threads, and I'm seeing people are saying, you know, I have a Black family member and I'm so scared right now. Is that rational? And here's where I'm coming from is, you know, do we believe that brutality and racism has always existed, right? Like, are both of you any more scared than you were 2 weeks ago? Or do you have real reason to believe that there's more fear? Or is there actually potentially, you know, maybe people are actually more sensitive and actually things are actually a little safer, but it's just the trauma is what's causing us to have the fear. Like, the fear is a feeling, but it's almost it's not like the world's actually more dangerous. Like, do you believe the world's actually more dangerous for the Black community right now in this moment?
I think the fear, you know, it's the same thing with coronavirus. When it first happened, everybody was glued to their televisions trying to figure out what was going on. Am I going to die if I walk right out my door? If I go to the store, am I going to die? If I don't wash my hands 18 times a day, am I going to die? And really the fear is just, it's from the unknown. right? And so Black parents have that fear with their kids who may, you know, go out and into the streets. And look, the what we're seeing in the news again is those are the worst. That's the worst case scenario. This is the worst thing that is going to happen, right? But out of the 40 million Black people who live in America, probably your kid is not going to die at the hands of a police officer when they leave your house. But it's the unknown. It's not knowing, am I going to be a part of that, whatever, 0.001%? And then also, for those of us who are talking about, you know, white privilege, and I'm white and I'm not sure, you know, if I'm contributing to racism or not, probably you are contributing to racism, right? But it's the unknown. It's not knowing how that makes us on edge or anxious or afraid. So the answer to fear, no matter what the situation is education, right? We just have to become more educated around it. And now that we're more aware of what the effects of coronavirus has been, people are less afraid about it now. You know, so unafraid that they'll go to a protest and stand half a foot away from somebody. But if that same protest was going to be happening 2 or 3 months ago, probably no one would go out there because they were too afraid and they didn't know what was going to happen. So, you know, I know, Chris, you mentioned the fact that we're all getting all these resources now. I would say, and I haven't looked at all the films and everything, but I would say if you were just going to do one thing to educate yourself, which can kind of be like a gateway to other things if you want to go further or deeper into it, I would say to start by just watching the documentary 13th. It does a great job of just talking about a cross-section of issues to give you a nice snapshot of privilege and of institutionalized racism and how it all ties together with slavery and post-slavery era and all Jim Crow and all of those things. And now you'll have, just within 2 hours, you'll have a basic walking around knowledge of how the whole thing kind of works. And you'll be able to see those situations in that same lens, which will give you a completely different understanding of how things like the George Floyd situation can even happen. Because really, you know, I don't believe that police officers wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm about to go be racist today. You know, I don't think that's what's happening. I think that what we're all experiencing, Black people included, are years and years and decades and really generations of bias. We all are biased based on our personal experiences. Many Black people don't like dogs, probably from some generational trauma related to being attacked by dogs. White people don't like, you know, thug looking Black people for whatever reasons. Like, we all have these really crazy stereotypical biases that most of the time are just like the stereotypes, right? And nothing is going to happen. But the less we educate ourselves around, why do these guys dress like that? You know, where is that even coming from? And what's that family structure like? And I think once you can see the connections, your fear will start to completely go away. And then once the surface level fear goes away, what you're going to be left with is your intuition, your internal guidance. And our internal guidance is always going to be there, alerting us of what the best course of action is, or, you know, who's a truly shady character. Because there's some shady ass Black people, there's some shady white people, every race has some shady characters, right? But if you project your fear onto every person of that race, then you end up being a part of the problem. You know, you're acting racist unintentionally, mostly, you know, subconsciously, just because we walk around with all this fear because we're not educated about how these people ended up in this situation. So that reduces the racist stuff and it leaves behind the true stuff that will guide you away from the shady characters and in the directions of, whatever opportunities are also present in that moment. And I've experienced that several times in my life. I'm sure you've experienced it too, where you get a hunch about something and it ends up being completely accurate, and there's no way you could have known it because it was around the corner. So you didn't see it, you felt it, right? And so that's there all the time. But then when you have all our other fears and anxieties that are trying to get our attention as well. And that's, again, just to bring it back to our inner work, that's the value of our inner work, right? When you go to therapy and you unpack the things that are making you feel anxious and afraid, right? You may uncover some old thing that happened in childhood, and then that is no longer contending with your attention. And then you sit down into your meditation and you're able to release trauma from, that one time you got bullied in school, and it happened to be with a Native American guy. And that may be one of the causes of you inadvertently discriminating against Native Americans or thinking that all of them are bad people. So then that goes away. And then how do you know it's going away? Because you don't find yourself rejecting or feeling averse around certain people or certain circumstances for no real tangible reason, right? And that inclusion and diversity comes as a result of that, because that's our nature is to include. Our nature is to love and feel connected to good people, to nice people, to people who give us great energy, right? And people like that most of the people in the world are like that. Most people are good people. Most people have great intentions. Most people just want to, serve and just get through the day and be helpful and all of that. But we don't want to let the few bad apples in the world color our conscious awareness of people who are different from us. So I think racism itself is just a symptom of us being neglectful with our own house, with our own inner work. And I think, and that's why they call it work. It's because it doesn't go away easily. We have to actually commit to it. We have to be intentional about it, and we have to be consistent with it.
I loved, you said the word bias, and I wonder if that's a nice segue into, how do we have a conversation with others around us? Is it, instead of calling it, are you racist? Is it, let's explore our biases. Is that an easier way? Or are there other tips or, guidance either of you can give us on how do you have a conversation around this, whether it's your family, workplace, neighbors, etc., so that we know our own biases and our own selves?
Yeah, so here's the thing, you guys. Words are very important. So the moment you use the word racist, does that invoke love and can't wait to talk about it? Yeah, no, right? Politics. Well, let's talk politics. No, right? Bias is better. It's a better word. We just need to come up with a different word. Listen, like some of the people, how can I help? What do I need to do? Do you have any recommendation for me to understand your belief system around money, around spirituality? I'd love to. So you ask because you want clarity, you want understanding, you want knowledge, you want to grow. You're not asking to compare or to validate, or you with me? Because those kind of things, I'm just talking about the initial.
People
right?
can feel it. If your intention is to judge them versus your intention is
already.
True. The tone is different.
Yeah, you say, I'm not racist, or you say, I have black friends. You hear that. My best friend's black, or something like that. We never say. I don't think in our community we don't ever say, hey, I have white friends. I don't think I've ever said that. Have you heard that? I have white friends. My white friend. I have white. Around black. No, we just don't do that. So again, invitation. You want words that invite. That's the thing. To inquire, to be curious. Because here's the deal. Everybody wants to know. I mean, I pretty much know the other word is prejudice. Well, I'm not prejudiced. Well, okay, fine. Let's look up the definition. Are we prejudiced or not? Look up the definition. What are the facts? Again, I'm back to facts, right? But I think the words, whatever the words we use, will open the door for real conversation. And I think that's where people are just asking. So many people are calling. Can you just tell us what can we do? I didn't know. Is it my fault? You know, what is the thread saying, Chris? He's working through the thread. Yeah. Yeah, I would say use words that invite, because here's the deal. Words create emotions. Words create everything. Choose wisely.
I think I really want to go back to your point, which is, and I've heard the stat. Most of the communication that happens is in the tone, and as well as the words, and it's the intention, it's the energy that you go into a conversation with, which goes back to, are you there to judge them, to put them on trial, or are you there to actually build a bridge and to have understanding and out of curiosity? I think that is, because I remember
58% of communication is in the body. It's how did you make me feel? How do you make me feel? 7% words. People don't care what you say. They care about how you make them feel. When I'm in your presence, did I feel judged? Did I have my own judgment on? That's really the bottom line. And so if we were going to be real about opening up this conversation about black and white and the differences or what have you, then let's have that real conversation from a place of love and understanding.
Do you have thoughts on, I think as a society, we are taught to judge so much. We judge everything. Right? And we judge ourselves, right? We're not good enough. We didn't wake up early enough. We didn't whatever enough. How do we release that judgment that's just hanging over all of our heads?
Oh, Light, you want me to go? Light's on mute.
Okay, thanks. I just want to say something about the previous question. I've been getting a lot, I'm sure Tanya can relate to this, but a lot of Black people, we've been getting a lot of requests lately. What should I do? What should I read? How should I learn more about this? And the thing with that is, I think that if you want to be impressive to your Black whoever, friend or associate or even a stranger, when you come to them and ask them about resources, I would take the initiative and maybe look at something or read something on your own first and say, hey, I just looked at 13. What else can I, because that shows that you're actually trying, because we live in the information age right now, right? I mean, if you want to learn how to day trade, you would probably watch a documentary or read something about it, or, take some initiative before you just blast out an email to all your Black friends and go, hey, what should I do? Like, the internet doesn't exist. Do that. It's kind of like when you go to a foreign country and you try to speak the language, and they're a lot more helpful if they see somebody actually trying to relate to them on their level versus just coming in and speaking English.
But what are they really asking for, though? You with me?
I think,
when people are coming, what are they really asking? Are they saying, my sentiment is, when they come to me, it's like they want help, but they're not. That's just the bridge. They say, oh, what resource can I use or whatever. There's something else underneath that, but I'm asking, what are they really asking for? Right. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I think it can be different for different people, but I think, ultimately if anybody's in that situation, again, I'll refer back to the Me Too movement,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So as a guy,
yeah,
you hear about all these things that are happening, and that I immediately start reflecting back to, wait a minute, have I been like this? Have I done some things in my past that could be considered, sexist or chauvinistic or any of those things? And obviously you can go to a woman and say, can you educate me about what this means? Or you can do some research and look at, women's suffrage movement and kind of see how that whole thing connected to this explosion that happened. And I think don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it has to be either don't do anything or read something or watch something. I'm saying, while you're reaching out, it just helps. It helps to move the conversation forward if it shows that you've taken a little bit of initiative on your own to kind of educate yourself. And if that's about being seen, if it's about connecting, if it's about being perceived as, oh, I'm not as racist as you may think I am, or something like that. I mean, it could be all kinds of intentions behind it. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to feel seen. The Black person wants to feel seen. The Black person wants to feel appreciated. The non-Black person wants to feel seen and appreciated. And I think the thing with Black people that white people haven't appreciated is that we've gone pretty much out of our way to study white culture, right? You kind of have to, in order to be able to excel in Western culture. So we, if you want to learn about Black culture, there's a lot of content out there.
Yeah, but I think the millennials have done a very good job with that, actually.
100%.
Very much. There's no, they know, I mean, out of all the generations, those guys, they really went in and studied, right? And just like, and that's the key, but that's cool. Yeah, love that. Good idea.
And that's why I'm saying, like, if you just watch 13th, that's a really great primer to connect with any Black person on Black history, right?
Yeah,
you're not gonna be able to teach a class at Harvard on African American studies, but you'll at least be familiar with the milestones that have taken place.
But be ready. Be ready for it, because 13, like some of these movies, like I went and saw Django, and I went and saw some other 12 Years a Slave and so forth. You've got to be ready mentally. It's not a Netflix. It's not one of those. It literally is intense, just so you know. It's not, it's serious content for yourself. So just be aware. That's all I want to say, It's an amazing film, but any of those.
For both of you, we're at a point where we actually have another course coming up soon, but I'm going to push back the start date. We have actually start time. We have a singing led by Greg that's going to come on shortly.
Okay.
But, I want to ask both of you, what gives you hope right now in this moment?
For me, it's honesty and openness and being willing to have these conversations. I mean, I've been talking about stuff that I've never talked about before, and it's been received so beautifully from such a diverse group of people, and people want more, they want to learn more. And so I think, all of us just continuing on having this level of curiosity and openness. And I wrote something the other day. I said, when you have these conversations, it's really tempting. If you don't consider yourself to be a racist, which I don't think anybody really does, it's tempting to go to someone who you think has strong racial biases or racial tendencies and to kind of call them out, because that's your part, is you're going to call people out. But you'd be surprised how people will push back and they'll say, no, I'm not racist. What are you talking about? They may even say you're racist for X, Y, and Z reasons. So I think we all just have to understand that people don't see themselves in this way, that most of it is subconscious, and that it's going to take not just one or two conversations, it's going to take a whole dialogue. And that dialogue may last over many months, or may last over many years. And the thing that allows people to really open up the most is when we're being open and honest with ourselves, and going in and admitting, hey, look, I'm probably not perfect. Just like, the guys were during Me Too. Like, I was afraid at one point to say anything because I didn't want anybody, calling me out for something. And nobody wants to be considered a chauvinist. Somebody wants to be considered a racist. But, we all have good intentions, or we had good intentions when things happened. So I think we just have to understand that, look, nobody's perfect. There's no throwing stones at glass houses happening here. We're all in this together. We're going to have to sift through it together. We're going to have to be patient with each other together. And it's not going to change overnight, but the more we can have these reconciliation dialogues, I think the further this thing is going to move for all of us. And it's not about blaming either. I talked to my trainer friend, and I said, this is like, if you find out that it's really the sugar you've been eating that's been causing the weight gain, when you make that connection, you don't shame the person for eating sugar. You just now say, hey, look, this is why it's been happening. Let's make some adjustments in the way that you eat and in your diet. And And it's not shame and guilt is not necessary in order to make those adjustments. Just make the adjustments, and you know that when you're falling short, that's why you're falling short. But this is the way forward. This is how you want to move forward. These are the few steps that you can take, and we take those steps together.
Thank you, Tanya.
Bravo. Bravo. Well, I just, what I'm hopeful for is a couple of things. One is that all of us are in this. You know, this is like over 100 something, almost 200 people, you know, getting ready to get information and get ready to spread. So I have just like this incantation from my very good friend, Joseph McClendon, that I'd like to leave for everybody, right? And it says, at last, the past is the past. I have broken free and I've won. And now it's time for me to love myself and really have some fun. A bold new world is waiting on me to rise for all of us to have a good time. And I'm the one, yes, I'm the one, a beacon of light, that light that lights the path for myself and others. At last, leave the past in the past.
Amen.
That's it.
Amen. I can't, I'm just so grateful for both of you and for everyone that showed up. I mean, your energy, what are you doing for self-care these days? Because both of you, like just looking at your face makes me happy. It brings joy. Like just, you know, you're both in these dark times. Like, what are you doing for self-care these days?
I'm over here getting high on my own supply. I'm meditating, I'm journaling, I'm doing my gratitude.
Are you meditating the same as you do? Have you upped it? Have you changed anything because of the intensity of the?
It's exactly the same, but also I think the most important thing is I'm doing everything I can to help people. So I'm putting out a lot of content, and you know, when your focus is just helping people, then it reinvigorates you, and especially when people start to connect with your message. So you know, in whatever ways that you know, you guys can help other people, I highly recommend you to make that your priority every day. I mean, I know you got to work and pay your bills, but if you help people as a means of staying enlivened and enriched, it'll help your work. It'll help everything else you're doing. And I know you know that. I'm just reminding you.
Thank you.
I do a lot of play. I play a lot. So I sing, yes, I sing, but I dance, but I swing. I go to the park and I swing on a swing, right?
You do it despite everything that's happening. Do you feel guilt? Because I've heard of other people who feel guilt about feeling good during these times, but it seems like you don't have that.
No, listen, I feel bad. Like I might be crying, like boo-hooing for a moment. Then I'll go outside, I'll hug a tree, I'll go swing, I'll bring joy into my life because my job is to savor the moment, right? That's my job. When I'm savoring the moment, I'm in it to win it, to have fun. But I have a lot of play and fun in my life, seriously. And prayer. Yeah, a lot of prayer, like meditation, prayer. So that's what keeps me like this way.
On that note, thank you guys both so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
And on that note, we actually have Greg here, who I'll bring up.
Oh, great.
He's going to be bringing in songs from the African American community for us that want to stay on and enjoy.
Cool.
And I saw comments about, someone commented about, you know, I think she's been reading a lot or learning a lot, but wants to drop it into the heart. Well, singing is one of the ways we can drop into the heart. So, Greg, where are you? Let's really make Greg.
I got to sign off, but thank you guys so much. And I'll see you
and everyone follow
My pleasure.
at Light Watkins on Instagram. He's got beautiful, beautiful stuff. Oh, there's Greg. Okay. And thank you, Tanya. Hopefully you'll sing with us.
Welcome. I'll stay on for a moment.
Yeah.
No, why not?
Yeah.
It's Friday night.
We're having a
I
little
love dancing and singing.
Amen. And thanks everyone for being here. Before Greg jumps on, just so you know, on every day, Monday to Friday, we have already classes in the morning, 8 to 10 Pacific time. So that would be 11 to 1. We have classes in the morning, classes in the evening. And then we're going to go from 4 hours of classes during the weekdays to up to 15 hours. So we're about to really just provide a lot of support as we go through this journey together this summer. Greg has been leading singing sessions with My Intent on Zoom for the past 8 weeks and is incredible. So I'm super excited for everyone to meet Greg.
Hello, everyone. Wow. Yes, and thank you, Tanya and Light and Chris. That was such a beautiful conversation. And I've been reading all the chat messages, and this community is just so special. This is our 8th week singing together. We do it kind of, I call it a cathartic sing-along. And boy, have we needed it more than ever these past few weeks, especially. So if you're curious, if you're choir curious, I really encourage you to stay on. This week we will be singing songs, as Chris mentioned, but also songs that just bring us together. And a lot of people have been saying this week how it reminds them of the 60s. And a lot of the civil rights movement had a soundtrack to it at that time that went hand in hand. And I think music and art of all kinds have a really powerful, special way of bringing people together and speaking of the need for change. And so hopefully we'll be able to feel some of that together today. I love an active chat board. So if everyone can just write where they're singing from and what number week this is for you singing with me. A lot of you, it will be your first. Some people, we've had all 8 weeks. Yes, I see week 7. Yeah, okay. And Chris just put up a poll for everyone to also take part in. So lots to do. So how it works is we're just going to kind of warm up, get to know each other as a choir. Zoom, unfortunately, is not technologically savvy enough to have us all singing in harmony together. So we do it on mute, but you can see everyone singing and it really feels special. And so I just want to put that out there. But the other good news is that since you're on mute, you can be as loud as you want, harmonize, yell, sing off key, it doesn't matter. It's here for you. Yes, 3rd week. We've got people from Dallas, Colorado, Maryland. A lot of first timers. Washington, Michigan, Columbia. Love it. All right. And if you have songs that you want to sing, put them in the chat board as well. So cool to see so many returning people and also so many people who are doing My Intent workshopping for their first time. All right, let's get into this. Let's start. We're going to start off with some warming up now that we're getting to know our choir. So if you feel like it, stand up. If you don't, you could just stay on your couch and watch me and everyone else do it. Again, take from this what you want, but we're going to warm up our bodies a little bit, shake off the week. This is a great way to get centered, not only on the breath, but on our bodies, and to come into this moment. So we're going to put our hands on our ribs, right where our diaphragm attaches, and we're going to breathe everything out. The ribs come in. We breathe in and expand. The ribs expand outwards. Let's do that again. Breathe out. And expand. Very nice. Breathe out over 4 beats. And let it all out. Expand. And let's breathe out over 8 beats. Very good. Let it all out. We'll do one more. Let's breathe in and breathe out over 12 beats. Here we go. Very good. All right, here's where you'll be happy you're on mute. Let's get a beat going. We're gonna do a little call and response warm up, and you just repeat after me. Hey! Yes, I hear you. Oh! Nice. Oh! Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. meow, 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 meow. Nice. Woo! Ra, 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 ra. Oh, 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 yay. All right. Oh, 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 oh. Zoo, 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 zee, zee. One more. Oh. Very good, everyone. Give yourselves a hand. This is how we do clapping here. Some little sparkle fingers. Very good. All right, so we have some great songs. Yes, love those meows. Keep putting in the comments any songs that you want to sing. But I heard Tanya singing Lean On Me, so we are going to start with some Bill Withers. Such a good song. So important. All right, here we go. Oh, and Claire, if she's here, will be putting lyrics on the screen for everyone during the singing portion so that you can sing along. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. Sing along. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Everyone, lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, no one can fill. No one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Come on, lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Oh, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there's a load, if there is a load you have to bear that you can carry, oh, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me one more time. When you're not strong, now I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Sing aloud. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Let's repeat, call me. You just call me when you need a friend. Oh, call me. Call me. Think about it. Call me. Who could call you? Call me. One more, make it count. Call me. Yes. I saw you all singing. I heard you all singing. Very good. And thank you, Tanya, for the song request. Yes. All right. I don't know where Claire is or if she can post lyrics. But we'll do, you can also pull them up on your phone if you want. But this one everyone knows. This is Benny King with Stand By Me. Also a beautiful, wonderful song. Oh, I think we got lyrics. When the night has come, the land is guitar. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry. Sing it with me. I won't cry. I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long, everyone here, as you stand by me. Make it count. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Yes. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. All right. One thing I always like to do, this is our 8th week of these sing-alongs, is ask everyone, if you could have one word to define your past week, what would it be? Put it in the chat. And you'll all know with me, doesn't have to be positive. You don't have to make it, put some shine on it. Just be honest and truthful. It could be positive. It could also be something different. Let's read some of these out. Emotional, overwhelming, frustrated, heavy, unity. Whoo! We got a whoo. Roller coaster, weird. These are all great. Exhausting, challenging, empty, grit, overwhelming, busy, beautiful, conflicted, hectic, sad. I love all of these words. And you know, putting words on things is a very important way to help us process. And also for the people joining My Intent, finding those words is an important thing to do as well. Okay, very good. All right. We're gonna do, this song was actually, we're gonna do one, which was written by you too, but Mary J. Blige sings an unbelievable version of it, which gave it a whole new life. So we'll kind of do whatever version you want at home. And Claire will pull up those lyrics. Here we go. Is it getting better? Or do you feel the same? Will it make it easier on you now? You've got someone to blame. You say, one love, one life, there's one need, the night, one love that we get to share. Leaves you, baby, if you don't care for it. All right, sing with me. Did I disappoint you? Leave a bad taste in your mouth? You act like you never had love, and you want me to go without. When it's too late tonight to drag the past out into the light. We won, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other, carry each other. All right, let's skip to Did I Ask Too Much? Did I ask too much? More than a lie. You gave me nothing now. It's all I got. We won, but we're not the ask me to enter, then you make me crawl. I can't keep holding on. What you got, all you got is hurt. One love, one blood, one life. You got to do what you should. One life with each other, sisters, brothers. If you haven't heard Mary J. Blige's version of that song, I encourage you all to go do that. It's pretty unbelievable. All right, yes, we've got some more words coming through. Sad, revolving, overwhelmed, inspired, inspiring, rough, transparent, good opportunities to speak with kids, but challenging, yes, hopeful, chaotic, touching. So this community is so important, and I lead choirs. Well, before the present pandemic, my favorite thing in life was to get just as many people singing together as possible. And I sometimes led groups of 400 people together, just singing, just enjoying it and having fun. And it's amazing how much you feel community from singing together. And even though we can't hear each other, hopefully you're feeling that a little bit now. I know I am. So nice seeing everyone. And I know for the people who return every week, we definitely have formed a community. So hopefully we'll see you next week too. Let's move back a little further in time, and let's do some John Lennon Imagine. John Lennon, Yoko Ono, and this is a beautiful song too. Claire will get those. Yes, choir is one of the things I'm very much looking forward to. Just people from all different walks coming together and doing something together. It's beautiful. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Everyone, oh, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood and sisterhood. A man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Everyone, you may say I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. All right, that song was written in 1971. That's almost 50 years ago, and still, sadly, very relevant. Beautiful song. So let's see. Just read a couple more of these. Inspired, love seeing that. Yes. And I know on the East Coast it's a little late, but hopefully you could hang on, because after me, we have Victoria Bennett, who's going to be leading a very special musical experience. So it's just a whole night on My Intent, right, Chris? Got the program just keep running through. All right. Let's switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to move us into Cyndi Lauper's True Colors. It's also Pride Month in June, so there's so many things coming all together, and it's just great seeing everyone together. You with the sad vibes, don't be discouraged. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can stand up tall, and the darkness inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors, sing it, are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. Everyone, and I see your true colors shining through. Sing it out. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Let's sing that chorus one more time. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors. True colors. Shining through, I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful. Are beautiful. Like a what? Like a rainbow. Beautiful song. Thank you, Cyndi Lauper. So great to see everyone. And yes, thank you for everyone. All right, we're just going to keep the parade going. Again, if you have song recommendations for next time, when you request it, it gets sung. So maybe not tonight, but next week. So please let me know. Okay, this one was written by Simon & Garfunkel, but there's an Aretha Franklin version that I love, Bridge Over Troubled Water. I think this is so great because we all have people that we can be there for this week. Some of us are doing, this work like they mentioned, Tanya and Light mentioned earlier, for our own self-care, but there's people who definitely probably need a helping hand from us, so we can think about that too. when you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine, and all of your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, and if you ever need a friend, look around, time's sailing right behind. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind. Sing it out. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind. All right, everyone. Thank you. I heard and felt you all singing. Okay. What are you? Let's bring this chat board back. I usually say, because it's a Friday night sing along, what are you most looking forward to for the weekend? But I want to change it up a little bit. Can everyone put in the comment or the chats what you're most hopeful for? Maybe during this week or during this whole period, something that you're really hopeful can actually maybe happen, personally or for the world. I'll read some of them out. Peace, empathy and courage, change, lasting change. I love that. Kindness and unity. A brighter day, peace, growth, listening, building bridges. Yes. Awakening, compassion, love, understanding, hope, harmony, just like we're doing now. Change for good, more love. Yes, there is so much to be hopeful for. Renewed energy, change, and understanding and kindness. So it's important to focus on these things. And yes, mutual compassion. Love it. Yes. So it's my job to sing, so we're going to keep singing and leading you through it. But keep putting anything in the comments that you feel like you'd like to. Talk to each other. All right, this song, Indulge Me a Little, Bob Dylan, I think, is still one of the, I mean, he won a Nobel Prize for his poetry. And I was like, which Bob Dylan song do I want to sing for tonight? So I actually picked two. But this one is called The Times They Are A-Changin'. And I just thought, even though this was written, 55 years ago or so, it's still very relevant. So we'll get those lyrics pulled up for you. And it really is poetry. The melody's pretty repetitive, so even if you don't get it at first, you'll get it for the later verses. Come gather round people wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. Sing it with me. For the times they are a-changing. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen. Keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. Don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin. And there's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now and later to win. For the times they are a-changing. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he who gets hurt will be he who has stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. For the times they are a-changing. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land. Don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend a hand. The times they are a-changing. Last verse. The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be fast, and the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last. Say it with me. For the times they are a-changing. Beautiful. Thank you. I see all of your energy and it makes me so happy. And I think I saw Blowing in the Wind requested, and I happen to have that. So let's just roll right into it. Another beautiful Bob Dylan song. And then maybe just one or two more, and then we're gonna go on to the next musical segment of the night. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times can the cannonballs fly before that forever band? Sing with me. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years must a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Sing this next line with me. how many years some people exist before they're allowed to be free? And how many times can a man turn his head, pretending that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times does the man look up before he can see the sky? Oh, and how many ears must one person have before they can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till you know that too many people have died? Oh, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Sing that last one time. Oh, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Great request. Who requested that? Yes, thank you. Vidya, thank you. Wow, this has been such a beautiful experience for me. Hopefully it has been for you as well. I really feel everyone's energy, and I needed that, especially being home alone with my news and my social media. Just to feel this many people coming together in song is truly beautiful. We have a little, before I pass it over to Christina, we have a little tradition that we do every Friday, two traditions. One is we sing the India Irie song, Give Thanks. There's no lyrics to put up on the screen because the lyrics come from all of us. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. It's so easy to learn. I think you will love it. And please share it with anyone else you know. And then I'll tell you the second one right afterwards. So it just goes like this. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks for all that is. Sing that with me. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks for all that is. And here's where you get to be part of it. You can put in the comments what else you want to give or send. For example, send peace, send peace, send peace, send peace, send peace to all that is. Let's give hope. Thank you, Dave. Give hope, give hope, give hope, give hope, give hope to all that is. I think I saw love. Send love, send love, send love, send love, send love to all that is. There's a B section to this song. It goes like this. There will never ever be another day just like this day, so let's give thanks now. Sing that with me. There will never ever be another day just like this day, so let's give thanks now. Give justice. Give justice. Give justice. Give justice. Give justice. Give justice to all that is. Oh, I see my favorite one. Thank you, Annalisa. Here's where we get to give each other hugs. Give hugs. Give hugs. Oh, it feels good. Give hugs, give hugs, give hugs to everyone here and to all who live. Last one, give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. Who can you give thanks to? Give thanks. Give thanks. What can you give thanks for? Give thanks for all that is. Thank you, India Irie, for that beautiful song. Please look it up. The first time I heard that was working with the Urban Voices project, which is a people experiencing homelessness choir based in Skid Row, Los Angeles. An amazing program. So anyway, thank you all so much. The second tradition that we have is everyone please put one word to describe how you feel after the end of this group singing together. And again, it doesn't have to be positive. Don't try to make me feel good. Just be honest. You could still feel frustrated, but if you feel uplifted and blessed, thank you. These are also great words, inspired, comforted. And this is what singing does for us and what it does for each other. Silly and giggly, free, tears, they're so beautiful. So try to bring some more of that singing and that play, as Tanya mentioned, into your lives. And part of something, yes, I'm so thankful for this community. Just in case you see it on my screen, I'm Greg Delson. You can sing along with me other places, but I do this here every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I also do some sing-alongs on my Instagram, which is just at Greg Delson. I want to thank Chris Pan for creating this beautiful night of programming and this platform for us to all come together, doing amazing things. And I will let him introduce our next facilitator, the amazing Christina Bennett, who's going to take you through some really special programming. So thank you again, everyone, for singing with me. And I'll see you next Friday, but let's enjoy Christina.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much. All right. That was awesome, Greg. We all needed that. I have a new mixer. It's pretty fun. Where's Christina? Christina and I haven't seen each other in 7 years. There you are. Okay, here you go. I see ya. I see ya. Hello. Last time I saw you, I was having a birthday party, and she came and led everyone in a bunch of big epic sing-alongs that are still my favorite videos to this day. So, all right, Christina, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Greg. That was amazing. Beautiful. I sat in on one of your classes a few weeks ago, and I just loved it. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're going to now take all the beauty and the yumminess that we just received from Greg and together, and we're going to do some breathing and some meditation, some vocal toning, and I'm going to walk you through and sing some mantras. If you look in front of me, I have crystal bowls, so we're going to do some sound healing. For those of you who have never experienced anything like this, I am so grateful that you're here for this musical adventure. Singing together and being with sound is something that is extremely healing for our bodies and, as we know, for each other. So please enjoy and receive this nourishing gift that I would like to give to all of you, and really soak it up, especially with everything that's going on. Very important that we take care of ourselves and take care of each other. So with that being said, I would like everyone to find themselves in a really comfortable position. Sitting down is what I'm going to recommend, and close your eyes. Begin to tune in to your own breath. one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Feel your body connecting to the earth. Feel your body expanding on the inhale and relaxing on the exhale. Imagine that you have a tree trunk that goes all the way down into the center of the earth from the base of your spine. Once there, you're rooted and grounded and nourished. On your next breath, inhale all that beautiful fresh earth energy up through your tree trunk and your spine. Feel it moving throughout your entire body and being. Exhaling all the energy that does not serve you or others. Bring awareness to the top of your head, imagining that you have a ray of light that connects you to the cosmos. On your next breath, inhale all that beautiful fresh cosmic energy, anything that you need. Love, peace, joy, wisdom, harmony. Feel it flowing down through the top of your head, down your spine. Feel it moving throughout your entire body and being. Exhaling all the energy that does not serve you or others. On your next breath, inhale all the fresh earth energy and fresh cosmic energy you need. Feel them meet at your heart center. Feel the energy moving throughout your entire body and being. Exhaling all the energy that does not serve you or others. Inhaling and exhaling. Feeling all that beautiful goodness flowing in and around you. Inhaling and exhaling. Rooting to the earth and aligning with the cosmos. We're all in this together. Feel that connection. Everyone breathing together. Exhaling And just bring awareness to your natural rhythmic breath.